The storm is one of Fortnite's most important and iconic mechanics, but the visual aspect of it is something that I feel like always gets overlooked. Fortnite's storm clouds have actually changed a ton over the past years and have been so fascinating to me. Like, for example, why were these blue? Why are these pink? Why were these yellow but only sometimes? Why were these purple if you played on good graphics, but gray if you played on bad graphics? What makes these new ones broken but these old ones perfectly fine? Well, we can go back and look at them all. Welcome back to another episode of Mr. Person Over Here who spends way too much time analyzing every detail in Fortnite. Today, we are going back in time and looking at all the eras of storm clouds. I love the way that the storm looks. I really love the way that a lot of things in this game looks. And I want to talk about it. So that's what we're going to do. Let's go. Let's look at that fabled storm. And as usual, code Chugga in the item shop. No spaces. Hashtag epic partner. And I actually have a bit of an announcement that I want to talk about. Two of them, actually. First off, the time has come. Channel memberships are now enabled. If you guys want another way to support me, go ahead and press that little join button next to the subscribe button, or subscribed button if you're already subscribed, which would be nice if you were. Just saying. If it doesn't show up for you, you're probably on iOS, but don't worry, there's a link in the description and in the pinned comment and on my YouTube channel. I came prepared. For just a couple of dollars a month, you guys get access to being a member. A Slurp Legend. You guys like that name? This allows you to get custom emoji that you can use in live chat on YouTube and in my YouTube comments. You'll get your name in the video at the very end. You guys get behind the scenes content that I'll post on YouTube, and I'll post it in our Discord server. You also get exclusive members only channels there. Oh yeah, that's right. Discord server. We got a Discord server now. Link for that will also be in the description. And is also on YouTube. Come on down. We got a bunch of things. There's already a good amount of people here. Why not stop by? Join us. Say hi. Talk with our community. And talk to me and my friends. I got some stuff that I want to do in there eventually, and it's going to be a fun time. So come on down. It doesn't hurt. And of course, by the way, you do not need a channel membership to get into the Discord. The channel membership only is for the exclusive YouTube members category. So if you want to get the exclusive chats and the exclusive behind the scenes content that you aren't going to find anywhere else except for members community posts on YouTube, become a channel member. That's up to you though. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's go talk about some storm clouds. The storm was introduced in Save the World. It wiped out over 90% of the population. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about how it looks. Save the World has much smaller storm clouds than Battle Royale does, and they're spread across the missions that you play. They're usually seen where husks spawn. They are very purple. They use a much older style in graphics because Save the World is older than Battle Royale. Seen very often because of the lore of the storm, of course. And in fact, you can actually see the storm covering the entire globe. Save the World storm really was the first instance of the storm that we ever got, and it's kind of crazy to see how much different it was compared to how it would eventually go on to look in Battle Royale. Anyways, there isn't actually that much to say about Save the World, so let's just go to what you guys are really here for. Chapter 1. Storm clouds were added to the storm all the way back in Season 1, and I would say this is probably one of the most iconic looking storm clouds that we've had. They were very blue, sometimes leaning into a bit more of a purple color. Instead of being spread across the map as little sections that have the storm, they would appear over the entire island and then slowly close in as the match progresses. The clouds have a way more stylized look at this point in time. They're very big, almost in a bubbly manner. They're animated to be dipping up and down. There's a bunch of different sections of it. They start forming like this, and then the clouds would start spreading across the island. Something to note is that these storm clouds would follow exactly where the storm wall was, which kind of made it easier to get a gauge on how far away the storm was, even if you can't see the storm wall, because you can look at the clouds. Now, these storm clouds didn't stay the same for all of Chapter 1. Halfway through, when we hit Season 6, they actually completely changed them. The colors switched. That's the first noticeable thing. Instead of blue and purple storm clouds, we went for more of a pink and purple look. The entire model was changed too, and so were the animations. The storm didn't have this wavy effect of it moving up and down, but instead had this swirly effect. And of course, the lightning effects on the clouds also got a little bit better. There was a thinner layer of cloud fog that was on top of the clouds to cover up the sharp cutoff that they had. However, that wouldn't appear on lower graphic settings, and strangely enough, it would always show up in replay mode. Look at these old screenshots I have from Chapter 1. They were always there. Now this one, honestly, this is my favorite look of the storm. I think the colors were perfect. It still had that Chapter 1 stylized look, and honestly, when I think of the storm, that's just how I see it. It looks really good. Something else to note is that these clouds, when they would appear, instead of appearing like this, they would actually rise up from the ground. It's kind of creepy. I don't know why they did that. Also to note, they would sink back into the ocean when a live event was about to happen. I just think that's cool because, surprisingly, that's not something you see very often. Now, these storm clouds lasted for a bit over a year, the second half of Chapter 1, before they got completely changed up when we moved over to Chapter 2. Now, the Chapter 2 clouds are a lot different. They have less of a cartoony look, but look a lot more detailed. The color switched again. Instead of being pink and purple, they went for more of a darker purple. They still have the lightning effects and the whole swirly look of the clouds, but just in a different style. This style matched Chapter 2 a lot more, so it makes sense. Now, again, halfway through the chapter in Chapter 2 Season 4, they didn't exactly change up the storm clouds, but actually added new ones. See, this was the time that the PS5 and Xbox Series X came out, and because of that, they decided to update the Fortnite graphics to really show what these new consoles could do. We got volumetric storm clouds. These clouds were actually a lot brighter than the storm clouds that we had before, this time going for more of like a bright purple type of look. These clouds also change color depending on the time of day, more noticeably, so when you get to nighttime, they actually go a little bit more blue. The volumetric clouds originally were only available on PS5 and the Xbox Series consoles. It got added to PC 2 seasons later in Season 7, and now is likely being added to the Nintendo Switch 2 version of Fortnite when that comes out in a few months. Yes, I'm very excited for that, by the way. The non-volumetric clouds that we had before did stay in the game and are still in the game to this day. They're just now used for the lower graphics and the older consoles, although the color would be changed slightly throughout Chapter 2. Chapter 3! There's not much to say in Chapter 3. They use pretty much the exact same storm clouds from Chapter 2 from what I remember. Chapter 4! Chapter 4 changed up the clouds a lot actually, and honestly, I'm not the biggest fan. They used different clouds, going for a way more realistic approach this time. Both the volumetric and the lower quality storm clouds got their color changed, and they went gray, which, again, realistic. Real storm clouds are gray, that is a thing. The colors would still change slightly depending on if it's day or nighttime, but other than that, they were mostly gray. Also, something to note, the performance mode storm clouds do not change color depending on the time of day. I don't know why, because they are the same clouds that low settings use, but something I noticed. And also, this is where the storm clouds kinda got changed in another bad way that I'm not a big fan of. They don't follow the storm wall anymore. I mean, yes, they still close over the island and close where the circle goes, but they stay behind the wall now. And not just like a little bit, they stay a lot of it behind. The storm circle could completely close and the entire map could be covered in the storm, yet there would still be a small circle left in the air from the storm clouds. I don't know why they did this. It does get a little bit confusing because you think the storm might actually be further away because the storm clouds look far away, but nope, the wall is right there. Anyways, they kept the gray storm clouds all the way throughout Chapter 4, but then Season OG happened at the very end of Chapter 4. It used the modern storm clouds, but they changed the color up to be a lot more pink. I guess they were trying to match the way the storm clouds looked in late Chapter 1, which is pretty cool. However, the lower quality storm clouds remained unchanged and they were gray the entire time. Awesome. Then we get to Chapter 5. Now Chapter 5 actually changed the storm up again. We kept the modern looking storm clouds, but they changed the color. They changed depending on day and night as usual, but this time, a lot of the time the storm was meant to take a way more purple color. Even at nighttime, instead of going blue, the storm clouds went dark purple. I actually really liked these clouds because it kind of represented the storm a lot better. Instead of being gray, they went back to the colorful purple storm, which is good because the storm was always meant to be purple. Kind of to show you that this storm was a little bit more dangerous than your average rainstorm. Yeah, so they changed it in Season 2. For some reason in Season 2, they made the normal clouds blend in with the storm clouds at the top, and also the colors were a lot weirder this time, because the storm clouds could go yellow. I was not the biggest fan of the yellow storm clouds. I think that they nailed the storm for Chapter 5 in the first season. They did not need to change it, and they changed it anyway. Of course, that doesn't matter for the lower storm clouds because they remained gray. Something also to note is that these storm clouds did also disappear before an event would happen. We once again had events that happened during Battle Royale games, something that we actually haven't had in a long time before then, so makes sense. And some other things to mention, Reload came out in Chapter 5. That uses the Season OG storm clouds, even though currently they're bugged. They really gotta fix that. And Chapter 2 Remix used the same clouds from Chapter 5, but changed up the colors ever so slightly. I think this purple looked pretty nice. I wish it looked like that all the time. I was always surprised they didn't go with the actual Chapter 2 storm colors because as far as I know, the volumetric storm clouds and the lower quality storm clouds are pretty much the same ones from Chapter 2, just with different colors. Anyways, Chapter 6. I think this storm is in a good spot in Chapter 6. They changed the colors up again, and this time they made them lean a little bit more to the pink side during the daytime. especially during like sunrise, sunset. It looks really nice in my opinion. Unless you play on lower graphics because they're still gray. Now something interesting is that we got the Fortnite OG mode, of course, as everyone is aware by now. And this time they actually went with the original storm clouds from chapter 1. It's the same ones, they close in just like they used to, and they actually follow the storm wall properly just like they used to. They also made new lower quality versions that you can see on like performance mode and stuff, and they aren't gray. They're blue this time and purple just like the old storm clouds are. They're the same clouds, except they just move less and they're flatter. This is really cool that they're using the old storm clouds instead of like the volumetric ones for the OG mode. And hopefully they do also make the switch to the pink Stevens. The pink Steven. Was I trying to say pink Steven? Hopefully they do make the switch to the season 6 pink storm clouds that we had, because again, those are my favorites. I really hope they do that. Other than that, that's really all the important storm clouds. Which area of storm clouds is your favorite? I want to know. Leave it down in the comments. Man, the Fortnite part of my brain is so crazy that I really just sat here and made a whole video talking about storm clouds. Welcome to the channel.